Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I have swatches for you from the brand by Dany Vianna. So I have their It's Soda Time collection, their Parts of Me collection, as well as their Halloween trio to look at today, all of which are available on the site right now. So down in the description box I will link their site, I will link their Instagram page, and then I will link my Instagram page where you can see more swatches of everything from today's video. So collectively we have 23 polishes to look at today, and let's go ahead and get started. So starting off with the It's Soda Time collection, here we have You Saved Them All. This is described as a mix of teal reflective glitters with red metallic shred glitters. The formula on this is good. It's a little bit on the sheer side, so you do want to build this one up or use it as a topper. I decided to build it up in 3 coats and I got full coverage. This isn't too thick or too thin. I had no running, pooling, or staining. Here's 2 coats, and if you like that visible nail line look like I do, I would have stopped here at 2 coats. I think there's a good amount of this red shred glitter in here where it looks cohesive yet sparse. And the main star of the show is still this teal reflective glitter. So here is 3 coats. You're definitely going to want some top coat to smooth this out. Reflective glitter does dry to this sandy kind of texture, and it's also, in my opinion, the most difficult glitter to remove, so it is going to require some scrubbing, a peel off base coat, something of that nature. But there are 3 coats of You Saved Them All. So up next we have Soda Time, and this is described as a clear to black thermal with a mix of white satin glitter with holographic flakes and purple aurora shimmer. I love me a thermal just to wear because it's fun, but swatching thermals is such a hit or a miss for me. Like, sometimes I'm just too hot for it to photograph properly, and sometimes I'm too cold for it to photograph properly. But these do, all the thermals that you're going to see in today's video, transition easily. It's just I am not good at being quick enough to photograph them. Anyway, 2 coats here. It is still a little bit sheer. I'm going to go in for 3 coats, and 3 coats did give me pretty much full coverage. I did try to fish for some of these larger glitters, and I was only able to get a couple of them. For some reason, my ring finger wanted to take all of them, but I wasn't able to get them on every single nail. This does have glitter, so it is going to dry with some texture. You'll want top coat to smooth that out, add some shine and life back to this polish, and removal will require some scrubbing. So there are 3 coats of Soda Time. Up next we have Across the Candy line, and this is described as a purple sheer jelly with pink iridescent flakes and a mix of round colored glitter. Purple sheer jelly is absolutely accurate. This is very sheer. I didn't get full coverage at all, but I am madly in love with these like eyeball looking glitters that are in here. I wanted about 1 billion of those on my nails. They are very heavy, so they sunk to the bottom pretty nicely. I kept my bottle upside down to get as many of them out as I could. However, I still didn't get a ton. I mean, it's not, the only element in this polish, so that's not a surprise to me, but I was happy with the amount that I was able to fish out. This does have a good formula though. It's not too thick or too thin. So here are 3 coats, and like I said, I was still able to see a pretty good amount of visible nail line after 3 coats, but truly I'm not upset with it. I have been personally loving a little bit of visible nail line lately, so this is a beautiful vibe for me. You'll want top coat, and removal is going to require just the slightest bit of scrubbing. So there are 3 coats of Across the Candy line. Next up we have Golden Ticket, and this is described as a mix of irregular brown and black glitters with gold metallic flakes and gold aurora shimmer. This does cover decently well here on this first coat, considering it's a clear base polish, but I still needed full 3 coats to get a full coverage manicure. Man, it is early. The formula is great to work with as well. No running, pulling, staining, anything of that sort. You could definitely use this one as a topper if you didn't want to build it up on its own. However, I think 3 coats on its own is beautiful. It would make for a nice Christmas manicure or an accent nail, in my opinion. You are going to want some top coat to smooth this out. This is going to dry to kind of like a satiny matte finish. So if you don't love that, the top coat will help with that. And then also some of these larger flakes can dry with some texture. Otherwise, the glitter that's in here really doesn't have that much texture to it. You are gonna have some resistance upon removal, so a pure acetone or nail polish clips work really well. So there are 3 coats of Golden Ticket. Next up we have Soda Bang, and this is a clear to black thermal with an orange Aurora shimmer and the same white satin glitters. So this is just like Soda Time, where I do apologize for not being the best swatcher of thermals, but I can't make my environment different. I have the hot water, I have the cold water, and it just doesn't stay for photos. I was able to get full coverage here in 2 coats. If you want extra glitter, you might want to go in for 3. This is going to dry to that satiny matte finish, so you'll want some top coat to bring this back to life and smooth out any texture that these larger glitters can create. And again, you'll have some resistance on removal, but not a ton. So there are 2 coats. Up next we have Soda Fish, and this is just like Soda Bang and just like Soda Time, where it's the clear to black thermal, but this one has the green Aurora shimmer. Formula is much the same. I was able to get full coverage here in 2 coats still, unlike Soda Time, where I did feel like I needed a full 3. I do think that this one had the least amount of the larger glitter in it. I did try to fish some of it out, but I wasn't able to get a ton. My ring finger wanted to hog all of it. I also felt like I didn't feel like I did have just a slight bit of unmixed black pigment in here. You'll see it on my pointer finger. You'll want top coat, and removal isn't the worst, but it's not super easy. So there are 2 coats of Soda Fish. Next up we have Bachula, and this is described as a turquoise thermal when warm to royal blue with green iridescent flakes. This one says thermal. I dipped it in hot, I dipped it in cold. I got 0 color transition in either state. So I don't know if mine's broken or if that was a typo, but this is definitely the topic of the collection for me. I really love how these flakes stand out against this base color, and I got full coverage in 2 coats. I do recommend going in for top coat. It is going to dry to a satiny matte finish, but nothing is going to dry textured and nothing is going to be difficult to remove since these are all flakes. So there are 2 coats of Bachula, or Batula. Up next we have Wonderballs, and this is a thermal that goes from a clear to a navy blue with a mix of pastel round glitters. When I tell you, I was shocked to see so many thermals. They're my kryptonite when it comes to swatching. I am no good at swatching thermals, and then I see a whole batch of them and I'm like, this is not going to end well. But this one is pretty sheer here on this first coat. I did get a good amount of these glitters out. I do really, really love fun and weird shaped glitters. Round glitter isn't something you see every single day, so I was really excited about this. I know she came out with something similar to this, but in a blue base, and I feel like it was maybe for polish pickup, and that was so cute, and this one is just as cute. These glitters are going to take some manipulation to move around evenly, so bear that in mind. You'll want top coat to smooth everything out, and removal's not super difficult. So there are 3 coats of Wonderballs. Next up we have Gummy Monster, and this is a thermal that goes from a clear to a pink with a mix of iridescent flakes and an Aurora green shimmer. Another thermal. This covers pretty well here on this first coat. I was able to get full coverage in just 2 coats. If you want maximum flaky payoff though, I do think a 3rd coat would benefit this one. I did stop at 2, but I think I'd probably like it a whole lot more if I did 3. You'll want some top coat just like everything else. It is going to dry on the rather dull side of things, but nothing dries textured and removal is easy, so there are 2 coats of Gummy Monster. Next up we have Let's Bake, and this is described as a sheer white crelly with a colorful mix of bar glitters. This is pretty sheer here on this first coat, and I wasn't able to get any of those bar glitters out with the first coat, but I was able to hold my bottle upside down between coats and get more bar glitters on the second and third coat. The formula is good though. I didn't have any running or pooling. It's a little bit on the thicker side, and these bar glitters, when they did come out, they came out in abundance, so it did have to be manipulated so they didn't all gang up in one area. This does remind me of a funfetti cake, which makes me really excited because that is my favorite type of cake. I've never played the game, but I would hope that this would be inspired by something almost funfetti-ish. So here's 3 coats. I wasn't able to get full coverage or full even coverage after 3 coats. Oh, somebody is mowing right outside my house. But a 4th coat would probably help that. This is going to dry dull, almost matte, so you want top coat, and removal is easy. So there are 3 coats of Let's Bake. And lastly, from this collection, we have Color Bomb, and this is described as a sheer brown jelly base with a colorful mix of irregular glitter and silver reflective glitter. This really said fall to me. It reminds me of like fall leaves, and I think it's really beautiful. It's not your like standard or typical color that you see, and the base color itself is pretty unique as well. I did do 3 coats for full coverage. I did want to also optimize the amount of irregular glitters that I got out of here, because I do love it when she uses these irregular shaped glitters. So 3 coats I was happy with. This is going to dry pretty dull. These larger glitters can create some texture, but those reflective glitters do dry to a sandy finish, so a top coat will help that, and removal will be quite difficult. So there are 3 coats of Color Bomb. Moving on to their Parts of Me collection, all of these next 9 polishes were inspired by some of Dany's favorite things, and up first we have Sugar We're Going Down. This is a mix of clear holographic glitters and silver reflective glitters in a clear base. So you could definitely use this one as a topper. I just did 2 coats of it on its own. This is reflective glitter, so it is going to dry with some pretty intense texture. A thicker top coat to smooth this out is what I would suggest, and removal will be difficult. You could definitely layer this over literally any color though, and it would look amazing. So there are 2 coats. Up next we have Dragonball, and this is described as a bright orange jelly base with many stars and micro red holographic glitters. Believe it or not, this is not inspired by the anime. It's inspired by McFly's song Dragon Ball, but physically it does look like a Dragon Ball to me, which my kids actually just started watching a few months ago, and I am so proud of myself for being able to identify that right away. This one's not meant to build up to full coverage. However, after 3 coats, I was able to get full coverage. These star glitters did require some fishing to get out of the bottle and a little bit of placement so they didn't gang up in one spot on the nail, but it was very easy, and I am actually a big fan of this polish. I think it's very pretty and very unique. So here are 3 coats, and that did cover, like I said, completely. You'll want some top coat. This orange base is going to dry matte, and these star glitters, the edges of them can dry textured. So a thicker top coat, but removal will be easy. And there are 3 coats of Dragon Ball. Up next we have Girl Crush, and this is described as a magenta jelly base with blue iridescent flakes. For some reason, when these like hot pink colors come out, and I know you've seen them, but the hot pink with the bright blue shimmers, it reminds me of like the 80s style and vibes. But mixing it up and adding these blue flakes instead of a blue shimmer, I think works so much better. These blue flakes really add some like interest to the base color, and they contrast so nicely. Some of these flakes wanted to give me some issues though. They are very large and very light, so they kind of wanted to go all over the place. I did try to spread them out as evenly as possible, but some of them did kind of traffic jam in one spot. You'll want some top coat just to make everything look nice and cohesive and put together, but removal will be easy. So there are 3 coats of Girl Crush. Up next we have Almond Trees, and this is described as a sheer blue jelly with blue aurora shimmer, white, brown, and yellow irregular glitters. So there's a couple in this collection that use these irregular glitters, and I do really like them. I don't know what it is about these glitters. They really remind me of like those feathered boas, and I think they're just fun. I was happy in 2 coats because I like a little bit of visible nail line, but I am going to show you what 3 coats looks like today to try to reach full coverage. The shimmer that's in here is very bright. These irregular glitters aren't in abundance, so you do kind of want to manipulate them around and make them look even on the nail. The base of this itself is going to dry matte, which I think gives a beautiful satiny finish to the shimmer that's in here, but these glitters are going to dry with some texture, so it's not totally even. Otherwise, I would have freaking loved that. There are 3 coats of Almond Trees. Up next we have By the Lilypond, and this is described as a sheer teal jelly base with a blue aurora shimmer and a mix of green, pink, and red irregular glitters. The shimmer that's in here, I don't know what it is, but it is bright. It is vivid, it is poppin', it is standing out. It is the main star of this polish. I love these irregular glitters, but I kind of wish it was just the shimmer. I think the shimmer is absolutely stunning and it stands out so nicely against this base color, especially considering it's a sheer. It all works together really, really nicely. Anyways, I did 3 coats and got almost full coverage. Just like the last polish, these irregular glitters are going to take some manipulation to move around the nail just to get them spread out nice and evenly. You'll want top coat. It is going to dry matte and a little bit textured, and removal is easy. So there are 3 coats of By the Lilypond. Up next we have By Any Other Name, and this is described as a mix of sparkling pink aurora shimmer and green reflective glitter. So surprisingly, this covers very well considering this polish has no color to it. This is a clear based polish and it's just full of aurora shimmer and reflective glitter. I got full coverage in 2 coats. It is pretty thick, the polish itself, so you do want to work as thin as possible and spread it out yourself because it is not going to self-level. This is going to dry to that sandy finish that these reflective glitters are known for, but I think the shimmer that's in here stands out really well, so I do recommend going in for some top coat. I don't know why I just went off track there, and removal will be very difficult. So there are 2 coats of By Any Other Name. So up next we have Sakurako, and this is described as a clear base with pink aurora shimmer and a mix of white, pink, and brown irregular glitters. This says Valentine's Day to me, and I think it's so cute. I love the shimmer that's in here. I love how dainty this is. I love the white irregular glitters that are in here. The pink and the brown are nice. The brown actually reads more red on the nail, so I think that just really kind of adds to the Valentine's Day-esque thing. Or, to be honest, it could also be like candy canes for Christmas. I think this is just a really cute polish. I did do 3 coats. Again, I was able to see some visible nail lines still through all of the 3 coats here, but I'm not personally upset with it. You'll want some top coat, add some shine, hide the texture that these glitters can create, and removal is easy, so there are 3 coats of Sakurako. Next up we have Xmas Year Round, and this is described as a dark green jelly base with a sparkly gold to green aurora shimmer and large particle reflective glitters. I have said so many times in the past, or not so many times, but more than I think most people have ever said, that it would be cute to have a pickle colored nail polish that dries to a pickle-esque consistency. And here it is. It looks like a pickle, texture and all. So I'm really just not actually sure how I feel about that. I was able to get full coverage in 2 coats. I didn't have any nail staining. However, when I took this off, I had some skin staining, so I would be on the safe side and wear a base coat. You'll want some serious top coat to hide any texture, and removal will be difficult. Next up we have Northern Lights, and this is described as a black to blue multichrome pigment with a green multichrome magnetic pigment, iridescent purple flakes, and a sprinkle of green aurora shimmer. This is very opaque here on this first coat. I got full coverage in 2 coats before hitting it with the magnet, and I was very happy. I had no bald spots. So the coverage is there in 2, but I also really like this one unmagnetized. But look at that magnet. I mean, it changes the polish completely. You'll want some top coat to add some shine and life back to this polish, but nothing dries overly textured and nothing is going to be overly difficult to remove. So there are 2 coats of Northern Lights. And moving on to the Halloween trio, we have Pumpkin Patch. This is described as a neon orange jelly base with an orange reflective glitter, green iridescent flakes, and green shreds. This is such a fun Halloween polish. The coverage here is pretty good on the first coat. I got full coverage in 2 coats, but it was barely there, so depending on your application and preference, you might want to go in for 3. I appreciate the amount of flakes that are in here. They're not meant to be the star of the show, but there's just enough of them that I was very happy with how this manicure turned out. This is probably my favorite of the Halloween trio. You're going to want some serious top coat to finish this one off and add some shine, and removal will be difficult. So there are 2 coats of Pumpkin Patch. Next up we have also Cat's Eye, and this is described as a clear base with a green aurora shimmer and black flakes and a green glow-in-the-dark effect. I did 2 coats on this and my nail line is still 100% visible. I'm not sure if it was intended to be a topper, but doing 3 coats I wouldn't have gotten full coverage here, but I do think this is really pretty and it's also very glowy. You'll want some top coat to bring some life back to this. It is going to dry on the dull side per the usual of these glow-in-the-dark pigments, and removal will be easy. So there are 2 coats of also Cat's Eye, and here it is in the dark. And lastly for today we have Halloween Lights, and this one is described as having a purple leaning red base with an orange magnetic effect, copper holographic glitters, and purple reflective glitters. Again, for this magnetic, this covers it very, very well here on this first coat. I was able to get full coverage in 2 coats before hitting it with the magnet and was very happy with the pigment payoff. This one definitely also screams Halloween to me. I think it's just absolutely beautiful. The magnetic effect of this isn't like the boldest magnetic effect, but it definitely says Halloween to me. This is going to dry completely matte and with some texture, so you'll want top coat for both of those reasons, and removal will require some scrubbing. So there are 2 coats of Halloween Lights. So here's a look at all 3 collections, and I decided to put them all together in one collage just because everything's available right now. So honestly, them being separated into collections doesn't make too much of a difference, but seeing them all together at once might give you a good representation of a color scheme. But truly, there are some hits here for me, there are some misses here for me, there are some polishes here that I will wear regularly, and then there are some polishes that I might not reach for in the foreseeable future. However, one thing I can say about Dany Vianna is like she has very original polishes. There's a whole lot, a majority here that I do not have in my collection already until now, and that I do not see other makers creating. So for that, I am forever appreciative for Dany Vianna, and a lot of it works really nicely. And guys, that is it. Let me know in the comments what you thought of these polishes. Let me know if you plan on picking any of them up, and let me know what your favorite was. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, subscribe if you'd like to see more from me, and I will talk to you again next time.